Cardinal Burke, one of the most well-known defenders of Catholic tradition, recently had a personal meeting with Pope Leo XIV. This quiet but significant event inside the Vatican may mark the beginning of something important for Catholics around the world who care deeply about the traditional Latin Mass. This moment could be a turning point. It's not just about a conversation between two church leaders. It's about the direction the entire church might take about whether the ancient form of worship will once again be welcomed, respected, and given room to grow. Over the past several years, the traditional Latin Mass has faced growing restrictions. Many Catholics who love and follow the older liturgy have felt pushed aside. Rules made it harder for them to attend the Mass that spiritually fed generations before them. These restrictions didn't come without pain. For many, it felt like losing something secrete, a direct link to the past, to saints, to tradition itself. When Pope Leo XIV was elected, some wondered if things might change. Would he continue the direction set by Pope Francis, who limited the old form of the Mass? Or would he open a new chapter? The fact that Cardinal Burke was able to meet privately with Pope Leo is already meaningful. The Catholic Church high-level meetings like this aren't always shared with the public, but when they do become known, they send a message. This meeting shows that the traditional voices in the Church are not being ignored. It also shows that Pope Leo is open to listening, something many people have been hoping for. While there is still no official Vatican announcement about what was discussed in detail, Cardinal Burke himself confirmed that they talked about the future of the traditional Latin Mass. This is a big deal. Cardinal Burke is not just any cardinal. He is a well-respected leader who has been defending the traditional liturgy for many years. He welcomed Pope Leo warmly after his election, and now he has brought him a direct message, not only from himself, but also from many faithful Catholics around the world. These are people who feel that the old form of the Mass is a treasure, not a problem. They don't want it to be forgotten. They don't want it to be treated like something old-fashioned or outdated. To them, it is something living, holy, and deeply meaningful. In a recent speech given at a special event in London, Cardinal Burke shared more details about his message to the Pope. The event was the 60th anniversary of the Latin Mass Society, and Burke spoke to the audience through a video message. In that address, he explained that he had made a heartfelt appeal to Pope Leo. His request was clear and direct. He asked the Pope to restore dignity and space to the traditional Latin Mass. He said this form of worship had nourished generations of saints and continued to bring spiritual strength to many Catholics today. He also pointed out something that many people feel but often don't say out loud. He said the way the traditional Mass has been treated recently is not just a matter of church policy. It's more than that. For many people, it feels like a kind of internal persecution. They feel rejected by their own church. This is not just about which Mass is allowed in which parish. It's about being told that something they love, something they believe brings them closer to God, is no longer welcome. That's why Cardinal Burke spoke so strongly. He asked the Pope not just to return to what Pope Benedict XVI had done, but to go even further, to rebuild trust, restore unity, and give tradition a proper place again. Spoke about the document issued by Pope Benedict XVI in 2007 called Summorum Pontificum. That document gave much more freedom to celebrate the traditional Latin Mass. Many saw it as a healing act. It's a way to bring peace after years of tension following the changes made after the Second Vatican Council. But under Pope Francis, that path was reversed. A new document called Traditionist Custodes rolled back many of the freedoms given by Benedict. Suddenly, bishops were told to limit where and how the traditional Mass could be celebrated. Many faithful Catholics were left hurt and confused. Cardinal Burke has been one of the strongest voices against Traditionist Custodes. From the very beginning, he said, it was not just a legal mistake. He said it was harmful to the spirit of the Church. He described it as a harsh and revolutionary act. He believed it was not based on real pastoral needs, but rather on a certain narrow way of thinking. Instead of helping people, he said it caused more division. It created an atmosphere where tradition was seen not as a gift, but as a problem to be managed. This, Burke said, has had real consequences. Around the world, Bishops used this document to place tough restrictions on the traditional Latin Mass. In many places, it became almost impossible to find. Even where the faithful were peaceful, obedient, and devoted, the Mass they loved was taken away. Cardinal Burke said this was not right. He argued that these decisions were not based on sound doctrine or pastoral care. Instead, they hurt the faithful people who were not asking for anything new, only to keep what they had received, what had helped them grow in holiness. In a recent interview, Cardinal Burke went even further. He said that many Catholics were suffering deeply because of these changes. To them, the traditional Mass is not just a beautiful ceremony. It's a path to grace, a spiritual home, a source of peace. Taking it away, he said, is not just a policy change, it is a real loss. And if that loss is not based on truth, then it must be re-examined. That's what led him to bring this issue directly to the new Pope. He believes Pope Leo has the chance to do something important, something that could bring healing to the Church. But Cardinal Burke is not the only one calling for change. Other respected leaders in the Church have also spoken out. One of them is Cardinal Robert Sarah. Like Burke, Cardinal Sarah has long been a supporter of the traditional liturgy. He also welcomed Pope Leo's election, seeing in him a possible way forward. Their early support was not just kind words. It was a sign that they believed real change could be possible. Another strong voice has been Bishop Athanasius Schneider. He has publicly asked Pope Leo to reverse the restrictions of Traditionist Custodes. He calls the document a deep injustice. In his view, it is not just about liturgical rules. It is about recognizing and honoring the Church's own tradition. Bishop Schneider says that the traditional Latin Mass is not just for a small group. It is part of the Church's soul. By restricting it, the Church is hurting part of itself. He also said something very important. He said that reversing these restrictions is not about giving special treatment to one group. It's about justice. It's about allowing something good to grow again. In his words, it's about healing a wound. Bishop Schneider wants the Church to recognize the value of its own liturgical heritage, just in words, but in action. He is asking for full freedom for the traditional Mass, the liturgy of all time, as he calls it. Meanwhile, questions continue to be asked about Pope Leo himself. Some people say that before he became Pope, he had a personal connection to the traditional Latin Mass. Others deny this. There is no firm evidence either way. But in the end, that may not matter. What matters more is what he does now. What decisions will he make as Pope? Will he listen to the appeals from cardinals, bishops, and faithful Catholics? Will he open a door to healing? Or will he continue down the road set by Pope Francis? These are not small questions. In fact, they may become the most important questions of his pontificate. The way he handles the liturgical issue could shape not only the unity of the Church today, but also how his leadership is remembered for years to come. And this is not only about liturgy. It's about trust. It's about how the faithful feel they are being treated. It's about whether the Church values all of its children, including those who feel most at home in tradition. For many Catholics, the traditional Mass is more than just a different style of worship. It is a connection to the sacred, the timeless, the holy. It teaches silence, reverence, and awe. It speaks to the soul in a deep way. When people feel that this is being taken from them, they don't just feel sad, they feel hurt. They feel abandoned. That's why this issue matters so much. It's not about politics. It's about faith. It's about the soul of the Church.